Nigeria today, and today we're talking about the plan by the Lagos state government to register and inspect all block molders in the state and test their blocks. They're doing this, they say, to prevent building collapse. Now, here's today's big hard fact. Block molders must use one bag of cement to produce at most 25 to 30 blocks, according to the Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory, LSMTL. That's our big hard fact. Block molders must use one bag of cement to mold at least 25 to 30 blocks. It makes you wonder how many block industries follow this rule, eh? The reason the rule exists is the more the cement, the stronger the block. The less the cement, the weaker the block. So obviously, in trying to keep down their costs, block molders are tempted to use one bag of cement for as many blocks as possible. But this makes the blocks weaker. In fact, in some places, this problem of overstretched cement in molding a block is so serious that people who are building refuse to buy pre-made blocks. Instead, they buy all the materials and mold the blocks on site. But now the Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory is trying to put an end to this. And we want to ask what you think about that. Because you are the buyer of these blocks, you are the user of these blocks, you are the maker of these blocks, you are the overseer of the people who make these blocks. What do you think are the major reasons why buildings collapse in Lagos? Have you ever had to deal with weak cement blocks? Why do you think block molders are not maintaining the required standards? What should the government be doing to keep block molders accountable? What should be happening there? Now, we're supposed to have on the line with us our guest. I'm wondering if they've been able to put the call across to him. It doesn't look like that has happened yet. Okay, that's not happened yet, so I'm going to have to start taking your own calls. Have you ever had to deal with weak cement blocks? Why do you think block molders are not maintaining the required standards? What should the government be doing to keep block molders accountable? These are the questions. Hello, thanks for calling.
No.
Thanks for calling us.
Yeah. Like what is happening, I did not dispute government for, trying to be testing their blocks or this. But my question is, for the past years, how many throughout last year, how many buildings have collapsed? Because if you tell the block molars they should be using one bag of cement to produce 25 blocks, I believe one bag of cement gives them not less than 40 to 45 blocks.
Okay.
But if government insists for them to be molding 25 blocks with one bag, it means they are telling them to increase their price. If, for instance, they are selling one block for 1,000, it means you are telling them to be selling a block for 1,005. Actually, what I'm trying to say, if government want to implement anything, they should put it into consideration for others, because like we that have not built, it means if we want to start building and want to start buying blocks now that they have... Hello?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Now that they are telling them to be using one bag to produce 25 blocks, it means even the block factories, they might decided to increase their price too. Because if you look at it, not everybody that have money to go and buy the equipment to start molding their own blocks if they want to build. So,
but isn't it better to pay more for a block that will last longer? Would you prefer a house that will collapse or a block that you buy cheaply?
Yeah, I did not dispute what you just said. Now, what I'm trying to say, like throughout last year, from January to December, how many buildings have collapsed in Lagos? And what am I trying to say?
A lot,
even
actually.
Any building that collapsed, they should start testing the materials, including the planks, including the iron, including the nails, and all those things. It will go viral. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much for calling us. Government says it is cracking down on block molders, right, to make sure that they are doing the right thing. Earlier this week, there was a task force going round in what's it called now? Going around the Alimosho area. It was a task force from the Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory. And they are the agency who check all materials used in construction to make sure that they are up to standard. And this week, their general manager himself led the task force. That's the general manager who we're supposed to be talking to. I'm hearing that, Kareem, 10 minutes? All right, so I'm hearing that in 10 minutes, we're going to be able to have him join us on the show. So the agency led by the general manager went around to make sure that the block being used, the materials being used, not just blocks now, materials being used in constructions, for constructions were up to standard. Do you know they closed down many block molders who were not mixing blocks with enough cement or not using sharp sand? And they're saying that it's not over. They're saying that they're going to go around the entire state and check on what every block molder is doing. So this is the government's plan. Number one, go from local government area to local government area, tracking every block molder. Number two, inspecting each block molder shop to make sure their equipment is okay. Number three, take samples of their blocks to test whether they are proper quality. Number four, shut down the ones that don't comply. Number five, register the ones that comply. For the registration, they are working with the National Association of Block Molders of Nigeria, NABMON. Yes, as a national association. So that's the plan. But the question now is, can this plan work? Is it realistic? I mean, let's look at the plan, right? Step by step. But we'll do that after I talk to Royal in Lagos Island. Hello, Royal.
Yeah, good afternoon, Sandra.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm enjoying your program.
Thank you.
Yeah, this issue, what I want to contribute on this is, let us look at how much is the bag of cement now.
Okay, you tell me.
Before we were buying cement 1,000 something.
Okay.
But now cement goes up to 2,000 something.
Okay.
If it is that amount of 1,000 something, I think anybody that wants to build it will like to buy a cement and mold the block by itself. But now those who that block this industry, because of the price of the cement, they will make it in an area where they can get their own gain. So let them bring the price of cement down. Since I think this issue will be solved.
Well, it's not entirely up to the government to bring the price of cement down, because again, Nigeria, likes to pretend that we are a capitalist nation. On some days we're capitalist, on other days we are Chinwetaluaguist. That's a phrase that my friend coined. He says Chinwetaluaguism is when, whatever you have, I want to take it from you, I don't know how he put it, but I'm going to have to ask him to explain it better so I can share it with you. But so our economic policy, our economic path is not exactly clear. We don't know what our ideology as far as economics is concerned from day to day. But most of the time we try not to control market prices. Actually, that's not true. We're actually always trying to control market prices. Look at what we're doing with fuel. But anyways, back to this block matter, yes? If we look at this plan step by step, tracking down every block molder, man, like imagine it, pause and imagine it for a bit. That would be a logistical nightmare. It means that LSMTL has to enter every street in every community. That would need a really high level of organization and a lot of personnel. And that's one of the questions that I have for the general manager of the LSMTL. When he does join us, I want to know if they have the personnel and the plan for this. Because remember, even if they have the staff, the GM is not going to follow them everywhere. Can he trust his staff to really go to every street to check for block moulders? Okay, now let's move to the next step. They found the block moulders. Okay, now it's time to test the blocks. Again, can the government trust the staff of LSMTL to do the right thing? What mechanisms will they have in place to make sure the staff in the field don't simply collect money from the block moulders and look the other way? And then you now talk about sample testing. Of course, the trust issue is there again. But beyond the trust issue, does the government have the capacity to test blocks from every block moulder in the state? Again, that's a question I want to ask the general manager of the LSMTL. How many blocks can they test a day? How many block moulders are there? Do they know? So let's start there. Let me ask you. You're not the manager of LSMTL. I know. We're waiting to have him join us on the phone, But do you think that the government has the capacity to inspect every block moulder and test their blocks? Do you think so? Hello. Thanks for calling.
Hello.
Good evening. What's your name, sir?
Yeah, good evening, Sandra.
Yes, welcome. What's your name?
Mr. Jonto, calling from Aja.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes under some of these things, when you're talking of building collapse, what exactly leads to building collapse? What are blocks doing in a building? Those high-rise buildings that you have been seeing around, don't you see the way they finish some of them and roof them without a single block? So when you're talking of restructural members that hold a building, it's not blocks. Because some of those structures, you can complete them without a single block. Block is just like a partition.
Okay.
So when you really, really want to check building collapse and you want to be sure of this thing, yes, there is a ratio on what you mix to get a good quality blocks. But that is not what you will hold and be talking about this. You are trying to prevent building collapse or whatsoever. Now, let them go to where they produce this iron, those rods. Why is it that people still import rods into this country and we have so many rolling mills? Because a good number of those roads that you see, they fail. They can't withstand. If you subject them to any test, they will fail. And if today the government is looking at, we want to stop this building collapse and building failure and whatsoever, those are the key areas. Let them make sure that we standardize the production of those iron rods, which constitute the restructural members of a building. And you are here talking about blocks for partition. You can finish a 20-story building without a single block.
Single block. Interesting. So you're saying
channel your energy and work.
So you're saying that the Lagos State government is facing the wrong thing, huh?
Because there are better things. If we are talking about working on reducing
building collapse,
building failure or that, it's not blocks that you should be taking. It should be the first thing. Let's look at the restructural member of the building. Which one of them that is very key is the iron rod that you use for this the beams, the columns, and all that that are not up to standard. That is why till today people still tell you that they will import iron and all that because the ones we have here,
the iron here is not good enough.
They are not good enough. They are not up to quality.
Let me talk to somebody else. Thanks for calling me. Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Sandra.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, my name is Augustine.
Augustine, this thing the Lagos State government is doing, what do you think about it?
It's proper. It's good.
Okay.
My sister, could you believe me that there was a time when I was living at Aghogho, blocks that they were using to build for government opposite our house, I could not pick one piece of the block.
Why?
Because it was ordinary sand. Today, in so many buildings, you cannot put a nail. And the Nigerians are arguing that the government should not go ahead to check blocks?
Well, some of them are saying they can check that blocks is not what you should be checking. There are other things that you should be focusing on and not the blocks.
My sister, block matters.
Okay.
It matters.
Okay.
Let them go ahead and check it. My elder brother was residing at Cotonou.
Okay.
He told me one Sunday that they were doing something. They put block on top of a canopy.
Okay.
And the block fell down and break a plastic chair. He asked me in Nigeria, which one will break the other? I told him the plastic will break
the
blocks. But in that of Cotonou, he told me that the block pieces the plastic chair without anything scratching it. Let them go ahead and do it. Go to block industries. You see that. You can use leg and mash the blocks.
But do you think they have the capacity to do it? Because remember that I did step-by-step analysis.
That is the problem. The problem with us is that even when they go out, the union will plan how to cost to them. They will go back without doing anything. It's not a question of raising an agency. Will they do the job properly?
So the idea is good, but you don't know whether they will implement it properly. Thank you for calling me, Augustine. A pleasure to talk to you. If you just joined us, welcome. Good evening to you. I hope you had a good day. Today we're talking about the plan that the Lagos state government has to register and inspect all block molders in the state and test their blocks. The government says they're doing this to prevent building collapse. And I shared today's big hard fact with you. I told you that block molders must use 1 bag of cement to produce at most 25 to 30 blocks, according to the Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory, LSMTL. 1 bag of cement to produce at most, not at least, maximum 1 bag, highest 25 to 30 blocks. And it makes you wonder how many block industries follow that rule. And I'm asking you, after of course I shared with you what the Lagos state government plans to do you think that they have the capacity to pull this off? So the government's plan is to, number 1, go from local government area to local government area, tracking every block molder. Number 2, inspect each block molder's shop to make sure that their equipment is okay. Number 3, take samples of their blocks to test whether they are proper quality. Number 4, shut down the ones that don't comply. And number 5, register the ones that comply. For the registration, they're working with the National Association of Block Molders of Nigeria, NABMON. And I'm asking if you think they have the capacity to inspect every block molder and test their blocks. Our numbers, by the way, have gotten very simple. So now you don't need to cram all the numbers that we have, those former ones that we have. Now you can just call one number and it will take you to any of the lines that we have. So the one number that you can call is 0700 993 993 993. See, very simple. Just one number, that's all you need to cram. You don't need to have the rest in your head. So 0700 993 993 993. 0700 993 993 993. Once you call that number, it will connect you to multiple lines. And it makes it easier to get across to us. Everybody can call that number at the same time. We've got multiple lines that you can be connected to. So all those lines we had before, we put them into one number now. So you don't need to have all those numbers that you used to call before. 0700 993 993 993. 0700 993 993 993. Hello. 99.3.
Hello, Sandra.
How you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good. What's your name?
This is Remy.
Remy, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm into block making.
Okay.
There are different sizes of block.
Okay.
There are 4 inches, there are 6 inches, 6 by 9 inches, then 9 by 9 inches. So, if you have to tell me I'm to produce 25 pieces from a bag, are you saying I should produce 4 inches, which is the smallest, Are you saying I should produce 6 inches, which each follows this 4 particular? Is it 6 inches or 9 inches or 4 inches? That is, by the way. I use machine to produce. 6 inches comes in multiple.
Okay.
Same as 4 inches.
Okay.
9 inches comes in one.
Oh, sorry about that. Hello.
Hi, Sandra.
How you doing?
I'm fine. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Emmanuel. I'm calling you from Lekki.
All right, Mano, go ahead.
Sandra, there should be more checks on the blocks
Okay.
than the road.
Okay.
Because if you check, if you see the modern house we have these days, you hardly, even if you want to fix up cutting on the wall,
The block
those
doesn't
nails
stay.
pulls out.
That's
And
right.
it's because of the substandard of that block that's making those things fall out. So government should do diligent work on the block industry so that the standard block produced. Thank you.
All right, thanks for calling me. Let's take another person's call now. Hello? 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 Ah, sorry about that. Hello? Good evening. Hello? Good evening. 99.3, hello? You're live on the show. Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, Sandra. Ezekwesili.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How's work?
Good, good. Where are you? It's so noisy.
Yes, I'm not too far from your office. I'm on next to Mian.
Oh, that's good. You should come in and say hi.
Okay, I'm listening to your program in the office, and I said, let me come out and talk to you. It's
Okay.
a very nice topic.
All right.
I see that you've handled a couple of good topics today. Thank you very much for doing that. The point, the topic you are discussing is a very nice one,
Okay.
but I don't know how far or the capacity the Lagos State government has to do to carry out those functions. Because these days there are lots of collapsed building everywhere, and we have to do everything possible to reduce these challenges. We cannot hold only the iron rod or anything. We should make sure that from the blocks, from the foundation, all parts of the building, everything that comprises building, we should put them into consideration and check where the problem is coming from.
Not just the blocks, huh?
Yes, not just the block. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling me. You know, apart from this crackdown exercise, the government has other plans for the block molders. We talked about it last week on the Big Three. Remember, government wants every block molder to bring their blocks to be stamped by LSMTL for identification. Government's idea is if every block is stamped, and you can use that stamp to identify the molder. If the blocks end up causing a building collapse, the molder can be traced and prosecuted. That way, according to government, every block molder in the state will sit up and make sure that they are producing standard blocks. So do you get that? Aside, this inspection that government wants to do to make sure that they are following the government standards, they also want to put a stamp on the blocks so that they can trace every block molder in the state. So that when a building collapses, government will use that stamp to find the person that molded it and come and prosecute them. Do you think that's something that government should do? Do you support that move? And more importantly, do you think government will be able to implement this efficiently? Now, these are questions that will be clearer to us if we're able to get in touch with the general manager of the Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory. But unfortunately, we are unable to reach him on the phone at this time. I think it's because everybody's trying to call at the same time, so all the lines are jammed. So I'm going to beg everyone to please stop calling just for a second. Stop calling for a second. Let's try and reach him again so that we can ask him all these questions that we have. If you just joined, welcome. You're listening to Hard Facts. It's 26 minutes past 5.
Hard Facts will be right back. Welcome back to Hard Facts.
And we have finally on the phone the general manager of the Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory, Mr. Afolabi Abiodun Tajudeen. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, sir.
Hello, how are you? Good evening.
I'm very well. Good evening.
Good evening to all the viewers.
Okay. Could you please tell my listener what the role of the LSMTL is?
Yeah. LSMTL, Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory, is solely in charge that has the statutory function of testing all materials that are used in both civil and engineering construction. And when I say materials like the sand you use on your construction site, the gravel, the cement, the iron and steel, the water, all needs to be tested before you are given the right to start using them in form of aggregate. But I tell you, the first thing you need to do first is to test your subsoil. Is to test your subsoil.
Okay.
Because it is the subsoil that would determine the level and the strength at which your building can stand.
I see.
It tells you what it can take.
Okay.
If you can go first floor, if you can go second floor, if you can go third floor, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ad infinitum. But if you fail to test your soil, the subsoil, then you've got it wrong.
I see. Now your
if you fail to test the subsoil, you've got it wrong.
Okay.
That is just it. That is the first thing you need to do first.
Okay.
The first thing you need to do.
Okay.
Yes.
Now your office has been doing an exercise in Alimosho in conjunction with the National Association of Block Moulders of Nigeria, NABMON. What was the nature of the exercise?
Yeah, you see, in the building industry, I'm just about 2 weeks and 4 days old in that office.
Okay, congratulations.
And I have met all virtually some of the stakeholders in the built industry. The first people I met are the Nigerian Association of Block Makers of Nigeria.
Okay.
And I met the president. And I met at the state chapter 2. But I made it known to them that they form an integral part of building construction in the state. Whether we like it or not, you just must have to use block. You just must have to use block. And we need to know the strength of the block they are producing. There are standards for block. And there are cognizant materials you should use into making or molding of block, which we call the sankrete block. We need to know the quantity of your mixing ratio. You use good and fine sand that is devoid of salt. You use cement that is accreditable, confirmed by SON. You use good water. But if you mix your sand with granite dust, the better, with adequate cement. Average cement should give you 20 to 25 blocks. That is a confirmed good strength cement block.
But I had a caller who called in and said that there are different sizes of blocks. So is that for like a 4-inch block?
We have 4 inches, we have 6 inches, we have 9 inches. All right. But
now, does that one cement rule apply to the different sizes of the blocks?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
If you are going for 9 inches now, at least 20, 25.
Okay.
6 inches, you can do 25, 30.
Okay.
But what we have noticed is that most block molders in the state, they want to minimize cost and maximize their profit. So in doing this, they will use a bag of cement to make 40, 50 blocks. There's no how they will do that, and you will get a very good strength block.
In your estimation, what percentage of block molders in Lagos are actually members of NABMON? And how good a job is NABMON doing in tracking down block molders?
Thank you very much. I have asked them to give me, or we are compiling a compendium of all the registered block makers in the state. It is true that definitely we will have quacks. We will have those that do not belong to the associations.
Okay.
We will have those that will be doing things on their own. But my agency, we have decided now that we want to re-register all block makers in the state.
Do you have the capacity to do that?
Oh, why not? It's very easy, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Yeah. The association informed us on Monday that they have a compendium of all registered block makers in the state that are under them.
Okay.
If they can furnish us with this information, and we now reaccredited them, we re-register them, that means we have gotten some portion of block makers in the state that are well registered with the Lagos State material testing.
Okay.
And why this registration is key is that we told them you need to stamp your blocks and put phone number there. The name of the block molder will be on the block. So if per eventuality anything happens, we know where to trace those blocks to. You see, before building collapse, it is your material that will first of all fail. And block is a major part of the materials used in building construction.
Now, how will the LSMTL ensure that every block gets stamped and that those blocks that are stamped actually meet the standards? Are you going to test all the blocks?
Yeah. You see, as of yesterday when we went out, we did random sampling of all the block molders we visited in Alimosho local government. And these blocks will be subjected to strength test in our office.
Okay.
Compression test. We will test them to know how powerful they are.
Okay.
And we told them these blocks that we are taking from each of the block molders, we will take 6 samples. We will take these 6 samples, we will now call them. They will be standing while the test is done in their presence.
Okay.
To determine if those blocks randomly selected on their site really meet the standard at which we are talking about. So that is just one step. And the brick industry too, we also go out to collect samples, block mold, the cube mold of their aggregate that they use in casting. When we do that, we take it to our site, we take it to our office. We have what we call curing tanks.
Okay.
6 cubes will be taken from each site we visit. And these will be subjected to curing. We'll insert them into our curing tanks inside the water for 7 days, for 14 days, and for 28 days. After which, we go for the crushing test to test if actually the aggregate cube that was taken from the site can stand the test of time.
And you have the capacity to do this for every block molder in the state?
Well, like I said, 100 years journey starts in a day. We have 5 divisions in Lagos State.
Okay.
And we have offices in these 5 divisions.
How many blocks per day can you test in Lagos? I want to know the current testing capacity of the LSTML.
You know what I will ask you to do? I'm going to invite you to our office.
Okay.
You come with your crew.
Okay.
I will take you to our lab. We'll take you to our crushing laboratory. And we'll do as many tests for you as at when you say, I am okay.
No, but before that, before I get to your office and see Korokoro, you're talking to over 200,000 people. So it may be a good idea to tell them right now, oh, this is the number of blocks that we can actually test in a day.
In terms of lightning, electricity, we don't have problem.
Okay.
And we can test as many. They do like
Give me a number.
And I can tell you, we can test as many as time permits us to test.
What's that? How many can you do in a day? So let's say you work 9 to 5. How many blocks can you test per day if you test in Lagos?
Well, averagely, we can do close to random sampling of all these blocks I'm talking about. We should be able to do 150 a day.
150 a day?
Yeah.
Is that not much lower than the number of blocks being produced, bought, and used in the state every day? So how feasible is the testing plan?
I said to you at the onset that what we will do is random. We are not to test every block being produced in the state.
Okay.
We'll go all out to sample. We'll take six blocks by each of the visited block moulders in the state. So what we collect this, we now bring them to the office. And these are things we do on a daily basis. We have officers that goes around. We don't have to test all blocks produced by a block moulder. It's just 6 out of maybe 200 blocks. And we are not taking it on one spot. We do random sampling to take them. So if you do 200 in a day, in a week, 1,000 random sampling blocks will have been tested.
Now, there's some people who have said that blocks are only a minor contributor to building collapse. They say the major causes are weak pillars and beams. Do you agree?
Definitely. Okay. But I tell you one thing, that if your block is not strong, we test for strength in blocks, we test for fire resistance in blocks, and we test for absorption of water in blocks. Let me tell you this, if there's a heavy torrential rain and your building is under construction and there's heavy rain and your block got soaked and the blocks are not strong, I want to ask, what happened? We have seen cases like that, the blocks will crumble. The blocks will crumble. So every part of material used in building construction is essential.
Okay, let's let Lagosians talk to you. 0127. No, I'm too used to calling the old number. The new number, the new phone line is 0700 993 993 993.
Nigeria Lagos.
0700 993 993 993. Hello, thanks for calling.
Hello?
Yes, thanks for calling us. Go ahead.
Oh, hi, Sandra.
Hi.
I've been trying to reach you for some hours now.
Welcome.
So I was hoping I would be able to hear the general manager speak. My name is Dimeji. I'm calling you from Ezekwesili.
Yes, I'm online. I'm still online. What do you say your name is?
My name is Dimeji.
Okay. Go ahead.
Dimeji. Welcome, yes. Dimeji. How are you?
Thank you. Very well, thank you, sir. So I've heard everything you had to say, and I must first of all commend the initiative of trying to test the blocks that are being manufactured in Lagos State. However, I must point out it's not enough to. I'm a civil engineer by training, and quite fortunately, my undergrad project was on the quality of steel reinforcing bars that were being imported and locally manufactured. And as fate would have it, my second degree, my project was also on certification of, I think there were concrete blocks, no, not concrete blocks, hollowcrete blocks, concrete blocks that are being manufactured, not in Nigeria now, in Europe, I think in the UK, with particular attention given to the UK. So, but in my findings, it's not only just, and with the kind of work that I do now, it's not just the quality of the blocks that are being produced. It's not just enough to say you're doing random sampling and you test those blocks and you say you're going to do curing of the blocks or you're going to test for the water resistance, First and foremost, what standards are you testing to? In Nigeria, we don't prescribe standards, apart from maybe the materials that are regulated by the Standards of Organization of Nigeria. Building materials, for instance, or for concrete, reinforced concrete design, we still design according to British standards, and most of the time we don't even follow or update the standards that we're using. New standards that are as old as 1985 or 1996 that are obsolete or that have already been passed over or that have already been relegated by the British Standards Organization. So we don't have standards that we prescribe in Nigeria. So apart from that, there's also the place of the quality management, the quality system, in place. There's something called the kite mark that is prescribed or that is given by the British standard. It's essentially a mark that is placed on some items that are subject to a particular set of regulations applicable to the European Union before now, and the European Union and then Britain, but then with the whole Brexit issue, it might not be applicable to the rest of the EU. So, but where I'm going with this is that kite mark. Yes, I'm using an example now for a system that already works. So what they do is they ensure that there are systems in place. There's a quality management system that is in place that ensures that all the processes that go into your production are actually
meeting the standards that they've already set.
So essentially, so at every point in the production line, what is your process and how are you making sure that those processes are being enforced, are being followed through? Because if your processes work from A to Z or from A to O, if it stops at O, then your outcome will always be the same, or maybe if not the same, it will maybe fall in the region of maybe 96 to 97 to 98%, because you're never going to get 100% quality. That is the reason why you're doing random sampling anyway. That's the concept behind random sampling. You're never going to get 100% quality, but apart from, because if I were a block manufacturer, for instance, I might as well just choose that day to find a member or a colleague who is also a member of the National Association, who knows how to prepare the blocks for me. And then I'll just tell him, make a couple of blocks that are good for me, maybe half of those blocks, and then another half I can make. And then by the time those guys come, they probably just pick, at random from the ones that are good. And what do they do to ensure that the work methods that I'm using, and that's another point, the work methods, who teaches, it's just like, anybody can drive a car once you tell him, put your foot on the clutch or put your.
Unfortunately, we lost that connection to him. But Mr. Abiodun, that was quite the contribution, yeah?
Yeah. I quite much enjoy Mr. Dimeji's contribution.
Yes.
All right, it's very hard, and I want to tell Mr. Dimeji that at LSMT here, we test all materials. Like I said, block is just an integral part. We test the iron, both locally made iron, imported irons. We test their strength.
Yeah, but he also said
we have the machine.
He also wanted to know what the standard was. What standard are you setting to?
We have the SOS standard.
Okay. Are these updated standards or?
Sure, validated.
No, updated. Validated. Like how old are those standards?
When I say validated, that means it's updated. Validated standard.
Okay.
That means it's updated.
Okay.
So we use it as our standard. All right.
Okay.
And not only the iron, we test the cement too. We test your sand too, and we test your water. I said it earlier that water is very key because of the alkaline and the acidic content inside the water. All this will have effect on the steel. It will have effect on the iron. It will have effect on the aggregate material itself too.
And all of these different materials, Mr. Folabi, all have standards that you're testing too.
Oh, sure, definitely.
All right, let's talk to Jacobson. Jacobson is in Alabado. Mr. Folabi,
Okay,
Jacobson is in Alabado. Hello, Jacobson.
Hello, good evening.
Good
Sandra.
evening. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to ask some few questions and also to make some few suggestions.
Okay, can you do it very quickly?
Yes, I'm an engineer, and what the man from Lagos State Laboratory testing when he's saying is really true that they should be able to test all materials and withstand that too. But I want to ask him a question. Is there any collaboration between him and Current? Because we all know that all engineers in Nigeria are supposed to register with Current.
Okay.
And moreover, we are talking about a system that was the last caller who was speaking before his line went off, talked about systems that work. A building collapses because of structural imbalance. You understand? So all materials are involved. If one material is compromised or the structure is not well designed and registered with town planning, that structure might collapse, and then the manager of that site who constructed the building or anything might not be traced. I'm asking him, is there anything he's doing to have a collaboration between his own organization or agency with Current? Because he comes to a site or a block industry, he evaluates the block, and then he leaves that site. What then happens after that? That standard that he has set or he has tested for, how is he sure they have maintained it throughout the construction period? Moreover, if eventuality happens and then the building collapse after some time, how are they going to treat or going to trace the engineer who was in charge of such construction? And what's the penalty?
It will be held responsible.
How are you going to trace? That was my question.
Well, they did say that they will stamp the blocks, but I'll let Afolabi answer that.
Because
what you have said.
Hold on, Mr. Afolabi. Go
Last
ahead.
week.
I want to suggest something now.
Hold on.
Now, I believe that a system that works needs to have, before a building is being done in a state or any place called a country, we're supposed to have an approval from government on all designs in charge that will be involved in such buildings. Electrical design, structural design, then you have plumbing and other things that are involved. Because all these things are part of what makes a building stand or fall. Now, in Nigeria, which one do we have? You have architects who are in charge of drawing, and when they do so, they register with town planning. And after that, that's all. Then when they start to construct, they construct something that is different apart from what the town planners have also approved. At the end of the day, those buildings are standing, people are living inside. When there's a problem, who do you hold? Nobody. I don't know how they have decided the issue of even the synagogue. We know prominent buildings that have collapsed in Nigeria and how difficult it was to pinpoint or even to hold somebody responsible for such.
Yeah, but to be fair, Jacobson, Mr. Afolabi's organization tests materials. So when we start talking about things like the plans for the building, that's beyond their scope.
It is for another agency.
Collaboration.
Yeah, collaboration. Collaboration is important.
You should be collaborating, because if it's not collaborating, then it won't be.
Sorry,
all right. Let me go back to Mr. Afolabi now. Jacobson, thanks for calling me, Jacobson. Mr. Afolabi, go ahead.
Good synergy with
Yes, go ahead.
Physical planning.
Okay.
That is responsible for approvals of building, of any type of building in the state.
Okay.
And just like you have said, the major responsibility of our agency is to test this material before, during, and after. You see, there's one thing we call the NDT test, non-destructive test. If we monitor you right from the conceptual stage of your construction, and we test all these materials along with you, if you are going to first floor, second floor, third floor, and we test the materials. If they are okay, we give you a report, and that report talk for us. We can say it emanated from us, and we can be bold enough to say, yes, this can face the test of time. And after the building, should in case a building is not tested before it finishes, what we do is we go there and do the non-destructive test to see if actually this building can stand or not. And the NDT test is a test that you have to keep on doing at every 5 years to test how strong your building is. So there are various sister agencies that are in charge of approval for buildings. And like I said, we have started meeting with the stakeholders in the built industry.
And you're collaborating with all of these agencies?
Sure. I have met with the Lagos State Developer Association. We are about meeting with the Real Estate Association of Lagos State.
Okay. All right.
And at our...
Go ahead.
At our agency, we have professionals of diverse professions.
Okay.
We have civil engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical, we have geologists, we have architects, we have environmentalists, we have scientific officers, we have all of them.
Now we have a message. We have a message from Oboh now on WhatsApp. He says stamping every block is good, but is it practicable? I think a better option would be to have the block buyer receive a certificate or a paper of assurance from the block seller each time he buys. Thus, he should have the latest certification he got from the certifier. This can be used to trace back to the seller as we wait if there are any issues. What do you think about that, Mr. Afolabi?
We'll pull all these advices together and we'll come up with a blueprint on that.
Okay. All right. Mr. Afolabi is the general manager at the Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory. Mr. Afolabi Abiodun Tajudeen, that is. And he's been talking to us for the past 27 minutes about the plan that Lagos State government has to register and inspect all block molders in the state and test their blocks. If you missed the conversation, you can catch it online. Go to Nigeria Info FM on Facebook, on YouTube, where you can actually watch it again. This conversation needs to happen again, Mr. Tajudeen. Do you think you'll be available to have this conversation again so that we can talk for longer?
Very, very well.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Available at the nip of time.
Okay. Thanks for your time, sir.
God bless you.
Bless you as well.
Thank all listeners.
Okay. All right. Then.
We should all come hand in hand. It should be our whistleblower. If you see any building construction going on and you think is endangering, please do not hesitate to reach us. Thank you. And God bless.
All right, then. Thanks for calling. Thanks for joining the conversation. And thank you, Lagos, for being a part of this. I know. You wanted to call. You've been calling since 3 o'clock. Sandra, pick my call. Why are you wicked? I know. We're going to have this conversation again, and I will tell you when. But in the meantime, we just talked about government's plan to trace every block molder in the state. On Eyewitness, we did what we do on Eyewitness. And at the top of the hour at 4, we brought you League of Extraordinary Nigerians. On the Big Three today, I told you that a teacher was arrested for brutalizing a pupil. I told you that the Lagos State government has increased last month's revenue target. Crazy story. And we gave you your daily update of COVID-19. And I told you that WHO says that every time you take money or before you take money, you should wash your hands. After taking the money, you should wash your hands again. Now, while you're driving through the toll gate, while you're buying something for dinner, while you're in the market, all of those things, are you washing your hand every time you handle money? Every time you give somebody your POS, your ATM card to pay for something using a POS, do you wash your hands before? Do you wash your hands after? I hope you do. I'm on social media as Sandra Ezekwesili on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram as well. Did I say YouTube? Well, I am on YouTube. Sandra Ezekwesili, that's where you find me. And tomorrow is Friday. We're back at 3:15. We're going to come back with a big conversation happening in other parts of the world. Friday's Global Review Day. So we take you away from Nigeria and we bring conversations happening in other parts of the world to you. Until then, Lagos, those were your hard facts. Good night.
99.3, your reliable station for more information around Nigeria.